What is important in this moment? What's important throughout your week? And look and pre-plan to see how we can make time for those important things. We are never going to have time. Hello and welcome to the Elevate podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Nowakowski. I'm a salon owner, educator, mindset, and leadership coach that helps salon owners go from overwhelmed and burnt out to motivated and empowered. It is my mission to help you systemize your business, generate more profit, and create a career that you love. Join us every week to learn about the small shifts you can make to elevate your business regarding mindset, marketing, social media, business systems, and so much more. Welcome to this week's episode of the Elevate podcast. I am so excited for today's episode because we're going to chat about all the things that I learned this month. I think reflecting and really taking a step back to look into your growth, your transformation on a monthly basis is so powerful. I think it's a really great way to track and measure your success, and it's a great way to start being truly intentional with your growth and your life. And it's a great way to make sure that you're just not reacting to the things that happen to you on a day-to-day basis, but you're actually being intentional to create things that you want to experience. And it's a great way to really celebrate your growth. I think when we take the time to celebrate how we've transformed and experienced growth on a month-to-month basis, it allows us to really reflect and make the growth worthwhile. I think a lot of times we as salon owners and entrepreneurs don't give ourselves enough credit. We're always searching and kind of just like moving towards the next thing or working towards the next thing, and we never take the time to really look back and reflect to see how we've actually transformed and grown on a regular basis. I also think it's a great way to hold yourself accountable. If you look back in the past month and you can't think of any ways that you've experienced growth or something new that you've learned, you're probably on the road to becoming stagnant, and your growth and your transformation opportunities probably aren't being utilized in the way that you want them to be, and you won't experience growth as quickly, especially in your business, as fast as you'd like. So one of the things that really kind of opened up my eyes and really made me understand that time is not something that happens. Time has to be created. I am currently juggling all the things. We have so many things going on at the salon. I have a beautiful team that I'm trying to coach and mentor and help grow. And I'm also a coach for Destroy the Hairdresser. I have my own education company, the Elevated Salon Owner Collective. And then, of course, I have 2 kids. I have salon suites. I have a lot of things going on. So if I'm really not being intentional and looking at where I'm spending my time, then things can definitely fall off and be neglected and become stagnant or even begin to shrink in my company. So one of the things that I really thought was super powerful, and I'm actually going to include this PDF on our website for a download so you can really track and look at where you're spending your time. Because when I actually looked and really tracked what I was spending my time on, it really was quite eye-opening. You don't really realize all of those minutes on Instagram and all of the minutes watching Netflix or a movie or really just kind of like not being productive. Granted, you do have to take time to relax and to recharge, but how many of those times and how many of those minutes really are just spent in a way that could be proactive and focused on creating the result we want for our business? Not only is it eye-opening to really see where I was spending my time, but I also got to look at the activities that I was spending my time on and really reflect and see what areas really brought me joy and fulfillment and what areas really seemed like a chore. And it really gave me an idea of maybe some of the things that I need to eliminate off of my schedule, off of my plate, maybe some of the things that need to be removed from my responsibilities that needed to be delegated out. Because when I reflected and looked back and tracked, I really saw the things that really did not light me up. And we have to be intentional with the things that light us up. Because if we aren't, then the mundane tasks and the reactive responses to the things that are happening to us on a day-to-day tend to take up the time in our schedule. We also have to look at what's important. Like, what is important in this moment? What's important throughout your week? And look and pre-plan to see how we can make time for those important things. We're never going to have time. I hear salon owners say this all the time. I haven't had time. I don't have time. There's not enough time. Nobody has enough time. So how can you create time? And I think really looking at where you're spending your time is important. So also thinking about what are your goals and what is your growth plan for yourself? When we look and reflect at what our goals are and what our growth plan is for the future, then it allows us to be more intentional with our tasks. And when we're intentional with our tasks, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, and we're putting that towards something that we know is going to be towards that goal or growth, you're going to see results. I think a lot of people get caught up in, they think they need to spend hours on creating these things that will help them create their goals and really add to their growth, when in reality, sometimes 5 minutes a day is just enough. 10 minutes a day is just enough. So instead of scrolling Instagram during your downtime, during a break, in the morning, take that time and use it to really be intentional with how you want to experience growth and how you want to work towards your goals. And it's really, really that simple. It's compounding consistency, and it's really committing to what you want for yourself. I think we also need to look at what is a want and what is a need. What do you need to do in order to keep things going for yourself, for your life, and your business? It's a need. Like, you have to do this. There's no putting it off to the side. There's no not doing this task. That is a need. You need to do the needs. And then what's a want? I think a lot of us get caught up in the wants and think that they're a need. And we create all of these wants in our life, which ends up creating overwhelm and shutdown. And when we have too many wants because we have mistaken them for needs, then we don't end up getting anything done. So make a list of the things that you have that you need to do and that you want to do. And then really kind of execute them and schedule them in a way that you're very productive and you're getting your needs done first, and then you're carving times out for your wants and prioritizing your wants. What is a want that you need to have right now? You're like, I need this thing. This is going to light me up. This is going to set me up and push me to the next level. When we categorize our wants in a way that we are putting them in order of most important, then it also sometimes allows us to visually see the opportunities, and then it allows us to structure them in a way that we can be more productive and efficient with the things that we need to grow. One of my biggest lessons this month also, and it really hit me hard because I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting on my life, my relationships, my marriage, just trying to be a better person and trying to remove a lot of the emotional reactivity in my life so I can make logical decisions and be the best person I need to be for my family, for my husband, for my kids. And I think one of the most eye-opening things that I realized this month that I've been reflecting on, just things that have happened, is that hurt and pain usually disguise themselves as negative or mean behavior. And sometimes people who are living in hurt or pain project this feeling and their emotions of hurt and pain onto other people with negative behavior, abusive behavior, behavior that seems unkind. And when we are living in this behavior at times, sometimes people can't identify that it's actually created from a source of pain. So I think really understanding this and knowing this allows us to be more empathetic and to have better responses to people that mean the most to us in our life. So if you are experiencing a moment of unkindness or a moment of somebody really not treating you in the way that you feel is appropriate or that it hurts, being a little bit more empathetic and understanding that they might be experiencing or living in hurt and pain. Now, don't get me wrong. We definitely don't want to live in abuse or, let down our boundaries or let somebody really mistreat us in a way that is toxic. But when we've built these beautiful relationships and we have these beautiful people in our lives, understanding that sometimes these reactive behaviors really are stemming from a place of an area that needs more empathy instead of reactivity. So knowing when to walk away and knowing when to work hard at the thing that you want and to really make the relationship work, I think is something that is really important to know. But when we understand and can identify this, it allows us to connect with the people in our lives on a more emotional and dynamic level. And it allows us to be our best self. Because normally when somebody is mean to us or projects their anger onto us, which sometimes comes, like I said, from a place of hurt or pain, we have a tendency to take it personally and then project back our hurt and pain that we're feeling because of that moment that just happened. But when we can really identify where the response is coming from, and when we understand that it's coming from a place of hurt or pain, it gives us the emotional intelligence to maybe take a step back, pause, and really ask the hard questions. Like, what is this person going through? Why are they feeling this way? What did I do to create this response? Or what am I not doing to possibly be creating hurt in this area of my relationship or just this area of my life? When we ask the questions and we pause, it allows us to create the response that truly aligns with being a bigger and better person. And it also creates a better response and a better connection for that relationship. Because two people going back and forth with hurt and negative responses isn't going to solve or create connection in any way. So being the person who understands that and really growing this this part of being emotionally intelligent and this part of your relationship, I think is one, it's contagious and it creates change. And the only way we can create change in our lives is by trying something different and utilizing different behaviors.
Did you ever wish there was a space to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs outside of the industry? Last year, I joined Brand Builders Group, and it has truly transformed my business. Brand Builders Group is a personal brand strategy firm for influencers, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs. Their services are designed to help mission-driven messengers clarify positioning, expand reach, and increase revenues. I've gained so much clarity thanks to working with my brand strategist and attending Brand Builders Group events. If you are ready to create an impactful personal brand, check out Brand Builders Group. For more information, check out the link in the show notes.
I think a lot of us get stuck in a loop where we are reacting the same way to the same fights, to the same disagreements, to the same actions, and it just repeats the behavior over and over and over and over. And what ends up happening is this huge amount of resentment gets built up. It's like a giant wall. It starts with one little brick, and every single interaction ends up compiling all of the bricks until a huge wall is built. And then there's no seeing through that wall to connect with that person that the wall has been built with. So that was something that was really powerful for me as I've been kind of going through the motions on really just trying to improve all of the relationships in my life, especially the relationship with my husband. And I think a lot of self-reflection has also showed me the areas of growth that really need to happen for myself. So another thing that was really powerful for me this month was knowing and understanding that everything you say, all of your words matter. And a lot of us speak without intention. We speak with emotions before we actually put thought into the words that we say. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily lead to the response that we want. I think more so and more powerfully is really understanding the way you speak matters with your kids. I listened to, I think it was either a podcast or it was something on social media. And it was a woman who was talking about sharing a moment with her mom when she was younger. And her mom had no recollection of what she had said because the mom had a bad day. It was like the daughter knew that she was having a bad day. So the daughter said, "I love you, Mom." And she was maybe 7. And the mom replied with, "I don't love you right now." And, you know, the mom had no recollection of saying that, but that was something that shifted that relationship for that child with their parent. And that was something that stuck with that child for the rest of their life, all the way into adulthood. And I think this happens to us all the time, that sometimes we reactively say things or we speak without thinking. And for us, it was just a couple words that flowed out of our mouth. But to somebody else, it was something that impacted them for life. So I think that's why we really, for me anyway, I really want to focus on the words that I use. I want to be intentional with my words. And I really want to evaluate and learn to emotionally regulate before I speak so that I know the words that are coming out of my mouth are going to be impactful in a powerful way, not in a way that is going to hurt or negatively impact others for a very long time. So one thing that I started doing with my kids, and this is something that I've done for a long time, is that I have special phrases and words that I will say to my children all the time. I tell them when they're sleeping, I tell them after I put their shoes on, and when I'm looking at their beautiful faces when they're sitting on the counter. But I really just share beautiful phrases that mean a lot to me. So with my son, I tell him that the day he was born was the best day of my life because he made me a mommy. And I also share with him that he is the best thing that's ever happened to me and that I love him so much. For my daughter, I want to make sure that she knows that she's kind and strong and smart and tenacious, and that she's beautiful inside and out, and that she's happy. And these are the things that I repeat over and over and over to my children. I repeat these phrases, different phrases, that, you know, even with my daughter, the day you were born was one of the best days of my life, so that they know how important they truly are, and that they are hearing these things, these positive affirmations on a regular basis that are being put into their subconscious, so that they can grow up confident and strong, and they know that they're smart, and that hopefully those kind words and those things will stay with them for the rest of their lives when they're going through hard times, when they have to make hard decisions or take risks or do hard things. I also like to tell my children that they're brave, because life is hard and things are hard, and, you know, difficult things are going to arise. And I think one of the most important qualities somebody can have when it comes to truly finding success in their life is confidence and the ability to take risks. And I want to make sure that my children have both of those things. And last but not least, actually, I have two more things. I realized more than ever that tracking the facts and your numbers are so important to your success because of accountability and because of the information that it can bring to you. So I recently was, promoted. I don't want to say promoted, but I recently was put in charge of one of Destroy the Hairdresser's virtual campus and self-guided coaching. I was put in charge of one of their departments, which is salon economics, which is really diving into the numbers. I love numbers. I love numbers. I like to track numbers. I like to utilize numbers to have aha moments for my students. But I don't think I was utilizing numbers in a powerful way before compared to now. So taking on this role, I really wanted to make sure that I filled the shoes of the role and that I was living and breathing what I was teaching. And I think that's really important. I think you need to live, breathe, understand, and really connect with what you're teaching before you can actually speak the words and share with others. And I took on this role and I really wanted to make sure that I was diving into my numbers in a way that would make the people that were consuming the information proud. I also kind of started diving into numbers, not only with my business, of course, but also in my personal life. So I have been on a fast track to becoming healthier and really focusing on my mental health and my physical fitness and the food that I put in my mouth, because all of these things create health and wealth. And I've kind of fallen off track lately. And I kind of have not really been on top of doing the things that I started doing when I began this journey to really becoming the best version of myself. So I realized that tracking the numbers, like actually weighing my food, looking at the, nutritional value of my food, looking at all of these things that I was putting into my body in a more dynamic way, I realized when I started doing that, I started creating more success in this area of my life. The same with my business. When I started looking at my numbers, really looking at the potential of my business, the opportunity for my business, what the opportunity for revenue was, the opportunity for stylist growth, the opportunity for hiring stylists, it really allowed me to see the holes and gaps, and it allowed me to see what goals I need to set and the potential to make that happen. So tracking the facts and numbers is so important. And accountability. When I look at my numbers from last year to this year, I am down. And that's okay because we're at a different place in the economy right now. I'm still successful. But if I didn't look at those numbers, it wouldn't allow me to look at my business in a way where I could solve the problem of the lack of revenue, right? My salon wasn't producing the same amount of revenue as it did last year. What did I do last year that was different? What is missing from my business that I had at that time? What am I not doing with my marketing, social media, my success, being intentional? These are all things that are going to lead to the answers to create the solution that I'm looking for to get back on track. So tracking the facts and tracking the numbers is so important, and you need to do that on a monthly basis. And last but not least, I have somebody in my life where I feel like it is very hard to connect with this person. I'm very intimidated by this person. And I just really couldn't understand why I was so affected or unable to be myself or so intimidated by this person. And what I realized after really diving in and evaluating is that there was a lack of emotional safety. I don't think people realize the power of emotional safety and why it's so important. Feeling emotionally safe with somebody is going to create the ability to truly be vulnerable and the ability to truly be yourself. And me personally, I have a huge issue with perfectionism and the ability to be vulnerable with others, just because I've got a lot of childhood trauma, and it's a protection mechanism for myself and something that I utilize in order to really keep myself feeling safe. So what the realization was that I don't feel emotionally safe with this person. So, it allowed me to understand that I really have to dive into why I don't feel emotionally safe with this person. How can I create emotional safety in this relationship so I can build this relationship, because I want to nurture, I want to grow this relationship, and I want to see it thrive. And the only way that's going to happen is if I feel emotionally safe, so I can open up and truly be vulnerable and myself in this relationship. And how was it lost? Why don't I have it? How was this lost? Or why was it never created? And I think when we think about that, when we really look at relationships, going back to my previous, statement about relationships and what's happening in relationships and how can we create them and how can we grow them and how can we nurture them, I think looking at emotional safety is important. I think emotional safety gets lost a lot, especially in important relationships and with the people that mean the most to us. And it's lost by reactive responses. It's lost by the inability to emotionally regulate and having behavioral predictability inside of your relationships, not knowing what you're going to get, being angry and frustrated and taking things out on people that are important to us. That's when emotional safety gets lost. And I think this is why it's so important to really understand your reactivity. And if it's something that you want to dive into, you can do that with one-on-one coaching with me through Destroy the Hairdresser. But utilizing these tools to really rebuild and restructure boundaries and really create the results that you want from your relationship by doing the work. Because a lot of times we just let things happen and we don't truly do the work in order to create the relationships and the responses that we want. Okay, this was a very long podcast, and I hope sharing what I learned last month, I hope that was beneficial to you. This was not something that I came up with on my own. There is somebody I follow and they do this, and I think it's great because I have a lot of aha moments through her podcast. So hopefully there were a lot of aha moments for you as well. But this is what I learned this month. This is what I'm sharing. Hopefully you can take some of these key elements and really start, being intentional with your time and really looking and reflecting at what you learned last month and start tracking that for yourself so you can start measuring your growth and success. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please download, subscribe, and leave a review. Reviews are amazing and really help us with the growth of this podcast. So I would be so grateful for anyone who reads the reviews. I read them all and I appreciate each and every one.